Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's Chris with One Dot Daily. I hope you guys are all having a great Thanksgiving holiday weekend and eating lots of leftovers, and hopefully you're not spending too much money on that Black Friday holiday shopping. But anyways, today's episode is gonna be, it's kind of a cool one. There's a Standard Knife Company brand knife, and we're going to be investigating that tang stamp a little bit. It's one I haven't seen very many of, so I wanted to find out more about it. And then we're going to clean that knife up, and this one was extremely dirty. I spent like hours picking out gunk out of each individual the jigging and the bone, but I fast forward through most of that for you. So anyhow, stick around, take a look at the knife. Hope you guys are like I said, having a great weekend, and hope you find something you enjoy. Okay, here's a knife that we're talking about today, and this is a standard. Can you see that stamp? Standard Knife Co. All right, and you can see the blade is a little bit chewed. There's a lot of blade left though. Like, I'm gonna be able to, I believe, straighten that out and make kind of a nicer, cleaned up blade out of it. This thing is filthy. Look at the bone. It's like got like dirt or something in it. It still has some snap, although it really is desperately in need of some oil. But the secondary blade, look at this thing. I don't know what's on there. It's like, it seems like maybe like tar or something to me, but this thing is super filthy. But there is a little line right there, really dirty, but kind of in shape to where I think we can clean this guy up. Now, Standard Knife Company is in the Case family. And so I started looking for this knife in the books. And I was watching Drew's Collector's Edge. And he was talking about a knife, I think it was a Pal Blade company. And he found some information on it that conflicted with a book that I had. And this is common. This is common. Because I found similar stuff. And he noted the mistake that my book made that is like a common assumption about this Pal Blade. Anyway, this isn't about a Pal Blade, but it's about how these books are not wrong, but different books say different stuff sometimes. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So this is the book, right? This thing is, you see this online for insane prices, and but it's a pretty good book. But when I look up Standard Knife Company in this book, okay, we've got Standard Cutlery Co. Okay, and that says, well, we've got a couple. Standard Cutlery Company, Sheffield. This isn't a Sheffield knife by any stretch or anything that I can tell. And we've got Standard Cutlery Co. here, and it says Dean and Elliot Case, 1901 to 1903. Now, all it says is Standard Cutlery Co. So this says Standard Knife Co. So that's different. Standard Knife Co. owned by two Case brothers, 1901 to 1903. Okay, 3 stars. So So that's make it an early knife if it was that. But then there's another, and that one's from Little Valley, New York. This one doesn't have a maker. Standard Knife, or a location. Standard Knife Co., Bradford, PA, made by W.R. Case and Sons, 1920 to 23. Okay, so it does not have any more information on the Standard Knife Company in this book. Okay, it would be after Shapley, and then it goes to Utica. So that's that book. And then we've got the other book that I use a lot is Levin's Guide to Knives. So let's see if I can find, there we go. We flip to Standard. So in this book, we have Standard Cutlery Company from Meridian, Connecticut, made in England, Germany, or the US as a wholesaler, okay, in 1900. So that's even a little earlier. And then we've got a Standard Knife Company owned by two Case brothers, Little Valley, USA, wholesaler, 01 to 03. So that matches the C. Houston Price book. And then under that, we've got the other Standard Knife Company, made by W.R. Case and Sons, Bradford, USA, manufacturer 20 to 23. And so that also matches the last book. Let's get some more light going here. Okay, and this book also does not have anything about Standard Knife Company, and I think that's maybe because it's more of a contract knife at that time. Okay, and so then we get into, now here's another popular book. This is Going Encyclopedia of Cutlery. As you can see, this book is duct taped together, and it is in really, really bad shape, but I still paid $80 for this book, man. Some of these books are ridiculous. But this is how I try and figure out what's going on with some of these knife stamps. Okay, so we've got Standard Cut Co. Meridian, like the last book. Then there's a Standard Cutlery Company, Sheffield, England, which one of those other lines in the other book alluded to. And then we have Standard Knife Co., Little Valley, New York, 1901 to 1903. Okay, so it gets into more detail. This marking is on all blades, founded by Elliot and Dean Case, sons of Gene Case of the Case Brothers Cutlery Company. This was a jobbing firm, and their knives were made by a variety of manufacturers. So it was more of a wholesale deal. But if you look at this knife, this knife is not marked on the secondary blade, okay? There's no marking on that secondary blade. It is just the main blade has the Standard Knife Co. with no Little Valley and no Bradford, PA, just Standard Knife Co., okay? Now, here's one that says Standard Knife Co. 2. I hadn't seen that 2 before. 1920 to 48, a trademark used by W.R. Case and Sons. And then we've got Standard Knife Co. 1920 to 1948, marked on the master blade only. Okay, check it. Master blade only is what we've got on this knife. So this took 3 books to find that. And it wasn't in those other 2 very, very popular books. Okay, and so it says here, W.R. Case and Sons Cutlery Company, Kinfolks contracted these knives for Case from 1926 to 1928, and K-Bar made them in the late 1930s. Okay, very, very interesting. And this Standard Manufacturing is Winstead, Connecticut. This is a totally different thing down here. But you can see, like, now we've found something that those other two books didn't say anything about. All right, so now we go to a fourth book. And this book, okay, this is called Counterfeiting Antique Cutlery. And if you're going to be interested in vintage knives, guys, you need to learn about how prevalent counterfeiting is, okay? And case knives are the #1 counterfeited knife in the world. That and Remington, okay? So anyways, this book is crazy. But see what it's got here? It's got pictures of the tang stamps. And before I get to that one, I want to show you. Look at this tang stamp. It actually says Standard Knife Co. 2, number 2, just like that other book said number 2, and none of the other books did. A few of the standard stamps have the number 2 under the words Knife Co. No documentation exists to explain this variation. However, it is much rarer version of the stamp. So this is a less rare version. Here's another stamp, how it would be, which is a straight line, 25 to 48. This version stamp has all the words in a straight line and is less common than the 2-line version. And then there's another one, standard, just one word, and it explains about it's kind of on some fixed blade knives, okay? So let's go over to the stamp that we have here. So it says straight up, 1925 to 1948, another brand used by Kinfolks was Standard. So this knife is more than likely made by Kinfolks, which was started by the Case family. It is commonly confused with the Standard Knife Company, also in Little Valley, New York, which existed from 1901 to 1903. So this tells us why it's not that other Standard Knife Co. that was a little earlier, okay? The same Dean Case, who was one of the founders of the original company, was also a co-founder of Kinfolks. This is the most common version of the standard stamp. The one that I have is the most common. It is on a 610050 green bone Coke bottle pattern in this. This is not a Coke bottle pattern, and I'll show you. Check it out. Green bone was not even used in 1901. They didn't have green bone, or they didn't use it at Case, okay, or at Standard. Now this is a green bone knife. So the other dates that place it from, being in the 20s, what did it say? 21 to 23 or something, like, what did it say? Let's see. It said 26 to 28. And then later in the 30s, made by K-Bar. This knife doesn't strike me as a K-Bar at all. This is like Case all day long, or like Kinfolks more than likely. That's what I'm guessing. I could be wrong. But so I'm gonna put this in the 26 to 28 range because they had green bone, the stamps match up, and it looks like a Case knife a whole lot. In fact, it is almost certainly a 6235 pattern. Okay, so I've got here a couple of, now this is a 1971 6235 and a half. And this knife is a project knife that I got. As you can see, the blades are gone, but that was a clip point at one point. I have some blades for this, and this is gonna be in a future fix-up video. But I wanted to show you, look at these knives next to one another. Now, the Standard does not have the shield, but that knife is, for all intents and purposes, identical. And then here is a 1979 in Appaloosa bone. And this is a 6235 and a half. And this one's in very nice condition, save for just some peppering down there at the end. but other than that, it's unused, and it's got the clip point. It's the 1-dot, very, very beautiful Appaloosa. I've shown this in another video, but the point of this is that it's a 6.235.5, and later in the 70s, you see the bolsters got bigger and less bone, okay? Meaning like less nice bone material and more metal as they got cheaper throughout the ages. Or maybe they could say it was a strength thing, but I think it was cheaper. And another thing here is if you look at these back springs, right? These are about the same size, back springs, but check this guy out. The back springs on this, though it doesn't look like a lot, those are thicker. Those back springs are thicker, so the blade stock is thicker. In other words, this is a 71, this is a 79, and this is like a 20s knife. So the blade stock was thicker. The knife is just nicer. Even though it's a contract knife and it's not necessarily a case, it's more of like a Kinfolk made knife to be used as you know, marked with standard, but made by Kinfolks. So that's the only relation to case it has. It's basically a case knife. But yeah, I just found all that to be super interesting. So when you're reading like even the books that we have that we go by, you have to read 4 different books to really nail down exactly what's going on with this. And I don't know, there's a lot of examples of that in life. I mean, if you want to know what's going on in the news, you got to listen to like 5 different sources before you get the actual deal. Anyway, that's all unfortunate. But yeah, so that's why I go in the books and do that, because I just really want to, you know, I just think it's fun to find out. So we are going to clean this knife up. So this is going to turn into a pretty long video. But before we do that, in the last 6235 video, I didn't get a chance to cross this off of our list. So I want to do that now while we're here. Let's see if I can find this. 6231.5. 6235.5, right above it. And it doesn't say, is this marked Appaloosa in any way? Let me see here. It's not, oh yeah, it's an A6235.5. Okay, so then maybe we need to find A6235. Okay, I'm gonna have to do more research on that, but for now, I know that I have this in Appaloosa and I have it in Delrin as well, so I'm confident in checking off the 6235.5 pattern. And man, maybe did they not, maybe the bone on this, they didn't have regular bone in 79. It only came in Appaloosa. Maybe is that a possibility? Because I'm not seeing any designation like is on the back of this guy, which says, you can see there's an A before the 6.2, right? Okay, so that's for Appaloosa. Anyways, okay. We're gonna make this a very long video, but yeah, so anyways, this is the standard knife, probably contracted by Kinfolk in that green bone, and we're gonna clean this knife up now and see if we can't turn it into you know, make it look a little better. All right guys, stay tuned. right, so I shaped the blades a little bit because there was some wonkiness to it, and they're not perfect, but a lot of it is an optical illusion. Like, see how that grind mark is? It makes it look like the edge isn't straight, but it's really, really close to a nice straight edge. But I think I can do the rest in the sharpening with the blade shaping. Now on the pen blade, I kind of got a little bit off track, and I didn't do as good a job as I would have liked to do on that guy. I didn't want to do a sheep foot like I did on the Remington before, but this pen is not that attractive. So here's the knife. It really, really cleaned up really well. That bone looks really good. Nice and dark on that side. Bolsters are pretty clean. There's still a little bit of pitting that I didn't get out there, but you know, it's you got to get really deep and aggressive with the sandpaper to get that out, and it doesn't need it, you know, like it's already, I already shined it up maybe questionably too much depending on your taste. The blade, considering that someone had taken a grinder and gotten real deep on this guy, you can see here these big chunks out of the edge here, but I made a usable edge on this, even though I didn't get that stuff out. Like, to get that out would be to ruin this blade. But I took some sandpaper to it, I shined it up and cleaned it up as much as possible. I did not get to the secondary blade. I shaped it a little bit better and got it to go below so that it's not it's not sitting up, you know. But I went a little too far with that in that process too. But I did take down, you can see the difference in the blades. The one I sanded on is a little bit cleaner. And I took down the kick so that so the edge doesn't stick up there. But other than that, that's about it. Cleaned up very, very, very nice. This is a cool knife. I don't know. This is more than likely from what we looked at in the books, kind of a tested era knife. It could be in the 40s, but it would have been early 40s because of the green bone. Case used green bone up until the late 40s, I believe. Anyhow, really, really cool knife. Hope you guys enjoyed watching some of that. I'm gonna put a little bit of this wax on it just to get some extra shine and hydrate that bone a little bit. Yeah, I don't believe, from what we read, this would have been made by K-Bar. K-Bars had different bone during this period of time, and I have a couple of examples of some K-Bar with bone from this period of time. It could have, being a contract knife, it could have had different bone used on it, but I believe that, this looks 100% like a Case family knife to me, more than likely made by Kinfolk. It also has half stops, which all the K-Bar knives that I have do not have half stops. All the K-Bars from this period, which would have been a K-Bar with a Union Cutco Olean stamp, being pre-51 on those, which this falls into that category. They did not have half stops, and this guy has half stops like Case would have had. So yeah, I'm gonna give my opinion is that it was probably made by Kinfolk, according to what we read. And really, really neat knife. I don't know, I like this better than my other Case 60 to 35 and a halves for sure. I think this one's way cooler and has the thicker blade stock on it. Very, very neat old knife. Anyways, all right. Hope you guys saw something you like. Comment below if you know anything definitive about this specific standard knife company knife. All right, guys, have a good one.